Joining us here is a longtime favorite of this program. Good to see you, Ryan Leaf, everybody. Hey,
everybody.
A nice round of applause.
Yes, it's good to... Wow. This place looks amazing.
We have spruced it up a little bit recently. Yeah, and the tree just got pruned behind us.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
When we saw it happen, Anna was like, you should just go out around there and just stand behind it.
We needed somebody to collect all the wood.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
You're heading to LAX right after this,
right?
right
to LAX, back to New York.
Back to New York.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with you. What give me everything that you're doing right now.
Well, we were in town. We were pitching a show to a bunch of different people. Can't really talk about it yet, but exciting stuff.
Right.
Anna and I are co-producing it with the introduction you made with me, with Ken Rogers at NFL Films.
So he is as great as they come.
Yeah, and he's been really helpful. And
that's cool.
We're really excited about this. Hopefully, we'll be able to share it with you here soon.
Okay, fantastic. Well, and it's perfect timing to have you here because it's an
Because it's draft time?
It's draft time.
Oh, it's your anniversary today.
It's my anniversary.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about all that.
What?
Yeah.
My first time hosting the show?
No. Don't say anymore.
Okay.
Save the gold.
Okay.
Is it gold?
All right,
I think it's gold. I have no idea.
It was gold at the time.
It's gold at the time. It's gold now. It's all good.
It's gold, Jerry.
It's good. And how many kids do you have now?
We have 2. We just welcomed a baby girl. Yeah. I'm a girl dad. I texted you. I was like, I need some advice.
Let me tell you, just
20 weeks.
Just enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
She's so chubby right now. It's like
fantastic.
It's
great.
She's on the Patriots draft board.
And then when
weird, yeah, she's already being scouted by Elliot Wolf.
He's not open for business though, not like the Patriots are. Okay, very good. So we're here on the Roku channel and back on the Rich Eisen Show radio network, sitting at the Rich Eisen Show desk, furnished by Grainger with supplies and solutions for every industry. Grainger has the right product for you. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. As our longtime friend and frequent guest host of this program, here hanging out on the West Coast before heading off to LAX to go back home east, Ryan Leaf. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too.
Right back at you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for letting me know you're in town. Are you aware today is the anniversary of your draft day?
It is the 18th, isn't it?
Yep.
I didn't even think about it.
We didn't know either, and you mentioned before the show.
Yep. I didn't even think of it. Yeah, April 18th, Saturday in New York City.
Yep.
You know, we were at Madison Square Garden, I believe, at the time, or Radio City Music Hall.
I don't. It may have been in Felt Forum. You can look that one up. I don't know if it was in Radio
MSG.
City. Yeah, it was MSG.
The theater, yeah.
At the theater in MSG.
Yeah, that's when they renamed
and
it.
I'm sure it was noon Eastern as well. So right about now, you might have been literally holding up a jersey with Paul Tagliabue.
It would have been because they took the full 15 minutes for Peyton and pretty much the full 15 minutes for me. So right about now, 26 years ago?
Yep.
Today.
26 years ago today.
Dude.
Almost late because my brother and my cousin thought it was a good idea before the bus in the morning to go run through Times Square and try to get themselves fake IDs. I remember sitting there, and I just can feel like Olivia and Archie Manning like staring daggers into the back of my head, like, who does this guy think he is? You know?
Because you kept them late too.
Well, yeah, they're on the bus with us, and we're just like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and he stumbles up onto the thing, and they're like, yeah, and I'm just, we rednecks from Montana.
And then, and that's when Archie Manning found out the reason why the bus was late?
I don't think he found out until years later when I told him about it. But I think they were just much like, that Leaf kid just doing whatever he wants to do. No, they were amazing. They were been amazing to my family. When I was in prison and going through all the stuff, Olivia and Archie reached out to my parents.
Are you serious?
Oh, we've known each other now for 26 years. There's a great picture. I'll have to get it to you sometime from the Heisman Trophy night.
Yeah.
And it's Cooper, my brother, and Eli. All 3 of them in the outfits that our parents put them in. And Peyton and I have this, like, we're going to put it to the side. One night on the Manning cast, we're just going to embarrass Brady Leaf, Cooper Manning, and Eli Manning because of the outfits, like striped shirts with vertical running ties, floppy moppy hair.
Oh my
it's a good one. Like a 9-year-old, 13-year-old, and like a 23-year-old Cooper Manning. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. So 15 minutes they took. Did you think in that 15 minutes time that maybe they were still hashing it out?
Lee Steinberg was very adamant about what the 15 minutes of free advertising was.
Your agent.
Yeah. At the time, he said, they'll take the full 15 minutes because they're just going to talk about the San Diego Chargers for 15 minutes. It's free airway.
No, what is the 15 minutes that the Colts took to put Peyton's name in?
He told me what it was a little iffy just because Jim Irsay didn't come in until the morning of the if you recall when I had him on the show, which you suggested, which was a great idea because it was a great interview.
Yeah.
He says, like, I didn't fly into the morning of because, like, this guy I trusted the most, like he told me, he said, don't pass on that Leaf kid.
And that was Hunter S. Thompson.
No, it wasn't Hunter S. It was actually, if he would have went with Hunter S., we would have known what that looked like. But it was another one of the guys he really trusted, he said, for years in the football business, and he went against what the guy said. I said, well, smart thinking, Jim. That was good.
So you're sitting there, and your phone, there's no phones. No. So it was like an actual, like, princess phone sitting right next to you?
There was. I don't remember even answering a phone. I just remember Paul Tagliabue announcing the name and me standing up and, like, hug the agent, hug the mom and dad. I was down in the very bottom in the green room, so I had to come all the way back up and across. We had like 19, 20 family members all out there with the styrofoam lightning bolts. It was an amazing day. And then what followed, right, of course, was you go through just a quick radio row of bouncing off. And what's funny about this, and he's become such a dear friend of mine and a mentor and boss, and Howie Denneroff.
Sure, of Westwood One.
Howie was one of the first people to interview me. He told me the story. He's got a picture of us, me 21 years old.
Yes. And
Howie Denneroff working with, I'm assuming he was with Westwood One at the time. He's been with them for,
ever.
87 years. And so, he's got this picture of it. And now, we work together and he's just such a sweetheart. So it started there. Then it's whisked off with Alex Spanos, Dean Spanos, my father, Lee Steinberg on their private plane. We stopped down at Wake Forest to pick up their son, who is now the president of the
team.
The team.
Oh, my
and we head west. And we stop in Las Vegas. They have a home in Las Vegas. We spent the night in Vegas with all my uncles. All my friends came down from Montana. We had an amazing time. Got up first thing in the morning, flew into San Diego, did the press conference, and away we went.
It's fascinating, Ryan, that you stopped in Vegas. I had not heard that because I heard the story that you famously told the Colts the first thing you were going to do if they drafted you first overall is go with your buddies to Vegas.
Yeah. That was a Bill Polian, Bruce Arians nonsense tale that I kind of just sat on for
forever.
I didn't have I don't know if I had the pride or if I maybe I didn't have the goodwill that anybody would take my story seriously because I was such a fraud and liar for so long, in
terms of pushing back against it after that story came out years later.
Yeah, I just ate it for years and years. And no, it was constant for the last 20 years almost from those guys. And I just never, and this year I finally was just like, okay, hey, I wouldn't have done that. I wasn't going to go party with my friends in Vegas. If I'm going to Indianapolis, Vegas isn't on the way to Indianapolis, for one thing.
Not from Madison Square Garden.
And when I mentioned it to Dean in the plane, I'm like, hey, do you mind if we stop in Vegas on the way? Mm-hmm. All my cousins and really good friends that couldn't come to New York want to meet me there and celebrate with me. That's when the question was asked, Mr. Spanos. And he could have easily said no. Sure. He said, we have a house there. Of course, Ryan, let's do it.
And you did it.
And we did it. And Mr. Spanos now his father was an interesting subject. He pulls out a VHS about mid-flight of him doing like a tap dance routine with Bob Hope. And I'm just looking at my dad going, like, where the hell are we? We're on a private plane.
With a VCR.
Yes, with a VCR to VHS. No DVDs or laser discs at the time.
And so apropos of nothing, he's like, oh, I've got this VHS of me tap dancing with Bob Hope.
Stockton, Northern California, real estate magnate like, Bob Hope.
Why not?
Why not?
Tap dancing?
We just
I
just looked at him, and then he starts yelling at Lee Steinberg about don't you screw around with me and have him hold out, get this contract done. And so
different times, man.
Yeah, it was
because contracts needed to get done. I mean, now totally different times.
Rookie salary cap.
I know.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh.
I think we held out for like 3 days, and I remember just cleaning my house, going, get me in camp, and I was the highest paid player for about 48 hours, and Peyton got about $250,000 more. So I was the highest paid player in the NFL for about 48 hours. In
there
my
you
lifetime.
go. Fantastic.
This week,
I think Jalen Hurts knew that feeling right around this time. Right around this time before then Lamar Jackson got signed. I got Ryan Leaf here on the Rich Eisen Show. Your evaluation of Caleb Williams, is it as high as everyone else's?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, he is incredibly talented. But I just don't think he can be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears this year.
You don't think so?
No, I think he has
Why?
to sit a year. I think what he has done in college doesn't necessarily translate very well to the NFL right away. He spent a lot of his time vacating the pocket out the back.
But do you really think that I can't imagine?
He's going to play. And it's the worst possible scenario for him because simply they're a playoff team. They were a playoff team last year. If that Browns game and that Broncos game go differently, or if Justin Fields isn't hurt through the middle of the year, I think, where they were playing so well.
The defense was great.
Yes.
There's no doubt.
They're a playoff team. So they're a playoff team this year. If they don't make the playoffs or if they stumble early or they're in a place, I don't care if it's a rookie quarterback. Matt Eberflus is gone. So now you're talking about a rookie quarterback now and a new head coach again with a new offense again. You've just set him up for absolute failure. If you're going to go this way, Ryan Poles, if you were going to go this way, you should have sent Eberflus out the door, got the new coach in place with an offensive coordinator, with a quarterback, and you knew that you had some time because that will just evaporate if they're not a playoff team this year. I believe that's going to be the case.
All right, here's the two I got a couple pushback.
All right, I want to hear it.
All right, Ryan Leaf here on the Rich Eisen Show. The pushback I would say is setting up for failure is
the Chicago Bears way.
No,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
I think that's harsh because I mean, there's Keenan Allen. They already have DJ Moore. They're gonna probably. I mean, there is word that because I know Bears fans are thinking, let's now get Rome Odunze 9th overall. There's now
Which
talk.
I think they can.
Well, now there's talk that maybe they trade up because Tennessee needs some help. And Tennessee winds up trading down. And they move up to 6 to maybe get Joe Alt and start really hitting that line. And the reason why they kept Eberflus, I don't think it's Ryan. I don't know if it was Poles' decision solely.
Because of defense?
Well, no, Kevin Warren is there now as well, a president, and then maybe the McCaskies got together, and they're like, Eberflus is going to handle the defense, and that was stupendous, and he is terrific at that, because I think if Eberflus is let go, the first thing he's going to get is a defensive coordinator job, and I know your response would be, well, he's the head coach. So this is a way to kind of set it up for success for Caleb Williams, and you just gave the potentially most negative viewpoint of how it could go.
And I'm usually such an
year.
optimistic person, so I'm fearful for him because I think that he's an incredibly talented football player, and I just think he needs some time at the NFL level, and I'm worried that if he's going to have so much, I feel like the bar is going to be set so high for him that there's no way he can ever clear it, and that disappoints me, and it makes it unfortunate. It is what it is. Quarterbacks are going to go high.
Yes.
But they're the ones that have to wear what if things go bad, he's going to have to wear it, not the team, not the organization for drafting somebody maybe before he should have or played him before he should have. So I think it's the negative tone of it, but I'm more worried about the individuals and how they simply because of and probably because I'm too close to it because it happened to me, you know?
Right.
And so that's where I look at it as. I would love nothing more for him to have a CJ Stroud type of year and him be the answer in Chicago, and this team all of a sudden be a team where Bears fans are like, oh my God, we got the quarterback.
Right. They've
surrounded him with great players offensively, and the defense is playing great as well.
I just think the day and age of sitting quarterbacks are you can't say gone, because look at what Jordan Love was able to do after 3 years.
Mahomes.
And Mahomes sat for one.
Yep.
And not even that full one. He wet his beak a little bit in the final game of a regular season. Other than that, though, I mean, Jaden Daniels goes number 2 overall. He's starting week 1 for the Commanders.
Yep.
Drake May starts number 3 overall. He goes number 3 overall in New England. I don't know if he starts week 1 for New England. I think that New England would have the ability to, right? Don't you think, Chris? I
think Jacoby Brissett is 100% starting week 1.
And they might be able to sit him an entire year.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I just sat with Drake May. I was in North Carolina on last Wednesday, I think it was. And
what'd you think?
He's a beast, man. He's big, physical. He's so young. He's 21 years old, and he's just like this Mr. Leaf, and he's got this bowl like granola and stuff, and he's just eating away, and he's just I'm just like,
Did you tell him to make his bed? Did he make his bed? You know what I mean?
I said,
it's like you could be his dad, man.
And everybody in the office is like, he is so young. He is so young, but he is a killer, Ryan. He's a killer. And I'm like, yeah, I was a killer too, right? Mm-hmm. You walk into a room and you're 21 years old and you're supposed to be the leader of 33-year-old men in that locker room and stuff who are trying to put food on the table for their families. It's a different story when things kind of start going south. And did you hear Brian Hoyer this week talk about Mac Jones and how he thought that they were giving him like the defenses and plays in practice because Mac Jones was maybe the smartest and most ready player coming out of college in Josh McDaniels' offense. Mm-hmm. What a absolute referendum to what Bill Belichick did to that young man over the last 2 years. I mean, it's so amazing what teams can do to a player. And the player ultimately, like Mac Jones is going to sit down in Jacksonville and like carry around like the conversation of like, dude, you busted in New England. Well, I don't know, man. They screwed me pretty bad here in this deal too, but no one really is going to talk about that.
Well, I mean, in terms of bust, and I've got Ryan Leaf here on the Rich Eisen Show.
You like how he did that?
No.
Speaking of bust, I got Ryan Leaf here on the show.
No, I didn't say speaking of bust. No, on the subject of bust, though, and here's where I was going with it, actually, is Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, who else can we include in this mix here? I think you know where I'm going. Where
Fields, kind of?
Well, he's in a position to...
Trubisky.
That the number of players that we're seeing that gets drafted high and then goes somewhere else and gets another opportunity. Geno Smith is another terrific example, right?
It took a long time, too.
Part of that was opportunity also. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, because after he left the Jets, he goes to the Giants, where Eli Manning never missed a start. Yep. And then that one time Geno started in place of Eli and his streak got broken, it was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
then he goes to Seattle, and there's Russ, who didn't miss a game. But all I'm saying is that it does appear that we need to see years for quarterbacks to get opportunity and also maybe the seasoning that they need. And part of the reason why is the way the new collective bargaining agreement is set up. There's, very little time in the offseason. And then when you do get the players, without a doubt, the starting quarterback is going to get every damn rep he possibly can get. Maybe we're seeing the UFL could be helpful, where people get reps. Guys don't get reps. They don't get reps. And so sure enough, they may have to take another crack at it and get that opportunity in order to be considered a non-bust, even though they were never busts to begin with, potentially.
No, there's never a bust. You're one of 27,000 players ever to play in the NFL, so we'll stop that right there. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield are two of the most favorite stories that I see going right now. Got a chance to play with Baker. I'll play golf down with Baker here in a couple weeks ago, right before he had his little baby.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy for him. Like, Cleveland was a great spot for him. He did something no one had done there in decades, got him to the playoffs, and it was just like, took it for granted. Him maybe a little bit too, not signing a contract that was probably more a better situation for him. And then I actually thought the Sean McVay situation was so profound for him. I even thought he may stay there because last year we didn't know if Matthew Stafford and his injuries were going to be what they were. And I thought maybe it's a really good spot for him.
Right.
And then to see him to take that shot and go to Tampa and play the way he did this year was awesome, to be rewarded with that big contract. You don't see it. You don't see it often, and it's starting to happen now where a guy goes number one overall. He's on his fourth team, and he gets that big deal where we don't see that. You see a guy that ultimately hangs around, and Blaine Gabbert, let's say, and he's a backup around most places for 15 years or something like that. Jared Goff, another one, just kind of traded away really for the contract. Detroit never thought he would be the guy long term, and he's going to be their franchise quarterback and the guy that possibly has a chance to get him back to the Super Bowl or get him to the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Yeah, we asked him, how long do you think a quarterback needs to get to be evaluated? He said 4 or 5 years at the very least.
Yeah.
But then somebody like C.J. Stroud comes along and it's just like, well, why can't everybody be doing that?
Right.
I'm serious. Like, that is a fresh reminder. Big Ben was that version of it in the early aughts. Why can't everybody be like Big Ben? Why can't everybody be like Stroud or Mahomes? And obviously that's a very long answer to that. But
I was, when I got a chance to mentor the quarterbacks at the Combine, Patrick was one of my mentees during that process. And I just, to see where he's at now and to see the maturation, in his play. Like, to go from this chaotic down the field, everything. What has impressed me the most about him is really his lack of ego. Like, last year, Patrick was asked by Coach Reed to do things completely different. Like, let this defense lead. You take us out, and if you can get something and not turn the football over, we're going to win football games. And he just, there was an egoless Patrick Mahomes throughout this year, and he was still the best quarterback in the league because he actually, you look at the game against, I think it was the Ravens, where he threw it like 39 times, but for like 245 yards, right? It was all at the line of scrimmage. It was not trying to be this big superstar. It was just doing the work that was asked, and they went back to the championship and won it. So I thought he's been the most impressive guy. It's going to be hard to beat them. I don't care what team in the AFC you are.
So what's your impression of Penix before I let you go? Let's get a Cougar talking about a
this is really hard and has been really hard. I think he's been the best college quarterback the last 2 years.
You think so?
By far. I think if he was if you were a true evaluator of great quarterback play last year, if I was picking a quarterback in the first round, he would have been my number one guy last year.
So what is it? 2 knee injuries and a throwing shoulder and a
I think the
non-throwing
performance
shoulder
against Michigan,
injury?
I think that is weighing him down a ton. And I don't like it. But there was such a polar opposite of his performance against Texas in the semifinal, where he was perfect. I've never seen a quarterback be as accurate 50 yards down the field as he was. It was like he didn't throw it to him. He just put it in his arm, ran it down to Rome Odunze, and handed it to him like a relay recipient. That's how accurate he was. I've never seen a more accurate down the field passer in the last couple decades. It's been incredibly impressive. I think he does it from the pocket. He doesn't get sacked. He's an incredible leader. I don't take into consideration the injury issues back at Indiana that cost him, because we've seen the last couple years where he's run 1,500 plays and he hasn't had a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on him. I hope that someone like the mid first round, or maybe even Will Levis style team, jumps up and gets him at the top of the second round, or jumps in late of the first round. I heard Peter yesterday talk to you about that a little bit.
Yep.
Love Peter Schrager.
He thinks he's going the entire first round, sitting at home.
I wouldn't mind that for him, but I'm like a proponent for everybody to not get drafted in the first round and go like in the beginning of the second round. And I know it costs you a lot of money, but I think Will Levis may have the best of anything from everybody last year with what he went through. Well,
it costs you money on the front end, but ask Jalen Hurts how it helped to not have a 5th-year option on him. Look at him now.
Like, it's a good way to look at it.
You know what I mean? And Garoppolo is another top of the second round quarterback who's got some bank. Look at Kirk Cousins. I mean, look at him.
You do not wear any of those anchors of the expectation either. Yeah. Will Levis last year got to sit behind Ryan Tannehill, work, no expectation, and then when he was asked to come out and play, he was ready. He put in the work, 4 touchdown passes in the first opportunity he gets, wins some big games. Actually, wins maybe the biggest game in the eyes of the Miami Dolphins fans out there, because if Tennessee doesn't win that game against Miami doesn't have to go to Kansas City in the freaking freezing cold. And Miami may be in the divisional playoff round, maybe hosting Buffalo instead. Like, Tennessee and Will Levis in that game was it a Thursday night game?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
It was the second Monday night game at the same time. There were 2 Monday nights. That was the night that Tommy Cutlets took care of the Packers as well. And by the way, that game was also huge for the fact that Tyreek Hill got hip drop tackled, and I don't think he was the same the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that obviously, as you know, really hindered their offense, just to go deep on that one.
It was a great NFL season. I think I was more involved with this NFL season than I have been since I played, probably.
With Westwood One?
Just Good Morning Football.
Yeah, right.
Constantly there in New York. And then I'll give you a really good example. Howie, Sunday night football game, Minnesota hosting Green Bay. Mike Golick Sr., normally a lot of times on the Sunday night call for Westwood One, had some health issues in his family. And Ann and I were sitting at home. It's 8:30 in the morning on a New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And we get a phone call. It's Howie. And he's like, 8:30. He's like, hey, could you get to Minneapolis and call this Packers-Vikings game tonight? And I'm like, I look at my wife. I'm holding the baby, feeding the baby. And she's like, we're just feeding her. Yeah. 8:30, car at 8:50, flight at 11, into Minneapolis at 1, on the field at like 5, calling Packers, Vikings. It might have been the coolest thing I've experienced, and I killed it. And I think I earned a lot of trust because I was ready to go.
Team game.
Team game.
It's a team game. With the passing of OJ last week, the Norm Macdonald joke from the ESPY Awards, with Charles Woodson sitting right in front of you, right?
Yeah.
It came out there, and I did see you right back there. Like, you were all over the place when that moment came out. What was that like that night?
Well, the night's amazing. It was.
I think we met for the first time that night.
We
was
may
there.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people for the first time that night, and just to be, you put on it's a black tie affair, right?
Yeah.
It was in New York City at the time, and not out in Los Angeles with big glitzy.
It's in Radio City.
Yeah, and Norm is funny. I've always thought Norm and he was hilarious, and there was a very different reaction by a lot of different people in that. But you could it pans to me, and I kind of look like. Did you guys ever see the movie The Croods?
Okay.
Your kids, right?
Yes,
You know Nick Cage's character?
Yeah.
I think I look a lot like the caveman Nick Cage character in The Croods in that with a tuxedo on, just kind of going. I mean, I look like just the biggest of dumb jocks in that moment. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. It was like, well, unless you murder two people,
Yeah, they'll never take that away from you, the Heisman Trophy, unless you kill your wife and a waiter, and the whole room.
See Ken Griffey Jr.'s production?
Well, Ken was just I
Not expecting it.
Well, he was not expecting it, and then later on that night, he lost Baseball Player of the Year to Larry Walker, who, by the way, they now share a room in Cooperstown together, right? And he was not happy about that.
Yeah,
I remember that evening.
I didn't care that I didn't win the College Player of the Year award. I was there to see Nomar Garciaparra and Mia Hamm meet for the very first time.
Huh?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Out on the stoop. We were out on the stoop that night, all sitting down after the show on some brownstone somewhere in New York, having a beer.
Yeah.
That's the first night they met. Started dating, married, kids, life. Amazing.
And you were there for that moment.
Maybe I was maybe I influenced it. Who knows?
You never know.
Or maybe she was like, I better swoop up this Nomar guy. There's a bunch of these Leaf characters out there. I'm not getting any
Well,
any
it
younger.
all worked out.
Yeah, it worked out well.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
That was a wild night in that place, because I think that was also the night that Will Ferrell came out as Harry Carey.
So good.
And talked about
Harry
John
Carey.
Elway's teeth. I mean, that was because it was a whole Saturday Night Live night, pretty much that night. Am I wrong?
They just was. I mean, it was literally across the street from 30 Rock.
That's
almost.
right.
So yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Thanks for coming here, brother.
Yes.
Greatly appreciate it.
I'm sorry I don't get back out here more. I love that Roku is taking you out to the draft this year. You guys have the show on the road again.
We're going to be there. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We're psyched
I called
about it.
him because I was like, Good Morning Football's moving to LA and we're not coming back. But if you need me to host the show again, so he's like, love it, brother. But we're going. We're
going to the draft.
Yeah,
we will be there.
Detroit. And speaking of which,
yes, sir.
Joey Harrington does a tremendous job with his foundation, and he takes us all to Bandon Dunes.
Okay.
Every year, and he does this raffle for these one-of-one Jordans.
Okay.
That they raffle off for these kids for scholarships to go to high school. Thought what a perfect opportunity for him to talk about that, and the fact that the draft is in Detroit.
Yeah.
For him to be on the show next week, maybe.
Okay. Is he going to be in town?
I don't know, but I don't know if you're doing any kind of remote things.
You're putting us together like you put Nomar and Mia Hamm together. That's your job.
I try to bring good people who do good things
together. Very good.
It can no longer be about me, Rich. It has to be about others.
I think we might have to separate him and Mariucci from appearing, right, together?
Yeah, they probably don't like each other. Maybe?
No. I shouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, Kurt and Mooch are best friends now, and Mooch kicked him off the team in Green Bay.
He did it. And they made a movie about that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
It was a good movie.
Mariucci's in the movie, kicking Kurt out of the Green Bay training camp. See you later. Ryan Leaf here on the Rich Eisen Show. Jeremy Fowler in a moment. Still here on the Roku for another 90 seconds or so. Okay. So you could just come back to L.A. Let me know whenever you're back here. And
we will.
And figuring that thing out.
We will. We both thank you so much for everything that you've done for our family. And
you got your dog here?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of your dog?
Oscar.
Oscar the dog.
Oscar the dog.
See, the dog made it. The 2 new children didn't make the trip. Yeah, they did not warrant the.
That makes this a vacation.
Smart mode.
It was. We watched
instead of a trip.
Yeah.
My wife and I actually watched television in bed for the first time in 5 months.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, I mean, we lasted like 10 minutes.
What'd you watch?
We're watching the Godzilla King Kong stuff right now because we're trying to go to the one in the theaters, but we have to watch the other ones up to the point so we can go to the one in the theater.
Oh, really?
We're sticklers.
I have a feeling you can catch up to the one in the theaters.
It's about
Ryan.
quality time. That's her love language.
Understood.
All right. So
okay, very good.
Yeah.
Oscar's now standing. Is Oscar like a dachshund mix? Is that what Oscar?
It's a mini dachshund, and
dachshund.
he was named Oscar because everybody assumes. You want to come here?
Let's see.
Because everybody assumed. Come here.
Come on. Let's see if Oscar can make it in 30 seconds.
No, he'll just stand in the middle of the room, right where everybody walks, and just be a nuisance.
Very good.
Good job, Oscar.
But he was named Oscar, and Anna's mom said, everybody will know why he's named Oscar. He was in Hollywood. He was born in February.
There he is.
No.
Oscars.
Well done.
No.
Oscar the dog. There he
is. Like, what?
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.